Eimear Níl is Anam Dom. Eimear is my name. Eimear O'Neill, so that people would know my name, my language, and my peoples.
Where is your name from, if I may ask?
Born in the north of Ireland, from a couple of very old families. So I carry that long-term Irish, Gaelic-speaking inheritance. And
Right.
it is part of who I am, central to who I am. And then I'd probably, what would I say? I'm a healer of collective trauma. I've been so for a long time, since my 20s. And I've trained in kind of multiple therapeutic frameworks and embodied frameworks, and none of them quite held what I needed. Most of them were pathologizing to some degree. And I did not see the people that I worked with that way. I saw them as reacting or responding to what was going on around them. That's what I ended up getting my doctorate in, was in transformative learning at a center in the University of Toronto.
Do you have some memories of some earlier cornerstones in your life that led you to where you are now?
Of course.
Yeah.
Being born in Northern Ireland from those families and into a Gaelic-speaking family was part of it. But I ended up spending my years from 2 to 12 in Ghana, as it became the first African country to get out from under British colonization. And the other thing that happened in Africa was that I actually was sexually abused as a 5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And it was quite disruptive on multiple levels. So disruptive, I couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
So I just dissociated. I left all those memories in Africa when I left. So they were there and I was in Ireland. And it allowed me to go ahead with school, do quite well. That's one of the gifts of dissociation.
I just want to say I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Just
Oh, thank you, Monica.
This shouldn't happen to anyone. Yeah.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't happen to any child. And also, it shouldn't happen that parents' reactions are part of the silencing or the dissociation. I want to add that in, because I think I would have remembered and worked with that if I had not been worried that, as a 5-year-old, concerned that my father might have removed my abuser.
Ooh. Yeah. The reaction to the pain is very,
That's
very...
right. That's right. What parents do, what educators do, what schools do, what governments do when there is something that is extremely disruptive to their population. So it's not just at the personal level. The thing I've learned around collective trauma is that what happens at one level is isomorphic to what happens at other levels. So if you can spot the pattern, you can begin to shift it. Like September 11th, the kind of responses after September 11th, I think triggered a lot of people's trauma, because the violence punitive response was disruptive for many people on a world level, on a planetary level. If you watch that presidential, this is the US, supposedly one of the most developed countries in the world. And here were two men who could not even make simple declarative statements like, I don't know, women's rights are human rights, and even those are subtended to the Earth's rights, given that we share the whole Earth. One sentence would have been very helpful in that debate. And then to come back into boarding school with the nuns, which taught me how to recognize privilege and domination. That helped in Ireland.
Glad you can laugh about it.
I can laugh about it now. I didn't at the time. I think feminism, being able to recognize that I needed to develop self-sovereignty, being able to answer for and to myself was important. I studied a lot around, and still do, around power dynamics. And we all grow up in families.
Yeah.
That's where we learn our sense of ourselves originally. And it's where we learn power dynamics, what to take in, what not to take in, who seems to be the person whose perspective prevails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested in the dynamics of power over and power with.
Yes.
Because I don't think power is just negative. I think power comes with responsibility. So I found that combined with the feminism really helped me to see and articulate power dynamics.
Yeah.
To see how they fitted together too into a kind of a cage, an invisible cage that could hold you in place.
Wow.
Knowing that invisible cage and being able to see not just how you open the door to that, because you can open the door to a cage and the bird will still sit there. You get used to it sitting in the cage. So how to open the door to that cage and make it exciting, invitational, fun to come out.
I so want to come out.
It's very hard to come out. And especially in places like Ireland. Well, oppression means caught between two, pressed between two planes. That's what oppression means. So in some ways, you're herded. You're not given full opportunities to make choices. You're herded in a particular direction. And how those bars connect, because they connect. If you only look at racism and you don't look at sexism, you don't get it. Part of what I would want to ensure is that they understand how to get a place to live, because women only own less than 1% of the world's property. And having shelter.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes. So having shelter in indigenous cultures, including the early Irish culture, the women held the home. And if the man was abusive, his stuff was put outside of the home, and the women held the home and the safety for the children. To me, that's important.
Do you have one learning that you want to share with the community that impacted your life?
I've had many teachers. The line that's often attributed to Teilhard de Chardin and to theologians, but it's actually taught in every indigenous culture, which is, we are not humans living a spiritual life. We are spirit living a human life. So for me, spirit's the whole universe and the creative flow of life that pours through that universe. And so for me, I'm always kind of checking in to see if I'm listening and paying attention to the flow of life. So in some ways, it's a simple yes or no. in the moment.
Beautiful. Sadly, we're out of time, but that was
so nice to actually get a chance. You asked really good questions.
You have very good answers too.